before the end begins.
The end. The thing that made Sylvanas give up on returning to her homeland. What could this end of the world be? Throughout World of Warcraft stories, certain characters have pointed to it, and I want to analyze it for you. I'm Hagix. Stay with me, as the Warcraft story still has its darkness. You definitely realize from the March of Queldanas raid cinematic that Sylvanas discovered a dark truth. She was shocked, saying she needs to know more, and mentioned that the end is coming for us.
The Shadowlands are not at all what they seem. I cannot rest until I've uncovered the truth.
It's so important that she can't even go back to help the elves and help her sister. So, what does this ends mean? In patch 11.2.7, when Sylvanas was in the mall, she said some weird thing to us as players and to Arathor, her nephew. First, Arathor mentioned that the structures in the mall look familiar. Sylvanas agreed too.
Familiar? I agree. I have seen past the veil of true death, Arator. There is more to the Shadowlands than it seems.
And then told us that things are very complicated here. The jailer, the cycle of life and death, the Shadowlands, they are all too convincing. There's too much order in it. And you know, whenever we hear the word order, we think of the Titans and their obsession with ordering the universe, especially Titan Aman'Thul.
Have noticed, have you not? The Maw, the Shadowlands, all of it. The question that has plagued me since the jailer's demise. I know the truth of death better than most. This, it is too convenient.
Different characters have talked about the end of the world. The most important one is the jailer. The guy Sylvanas teamed up with it because she was convinced that the afterlife wasn't fair and that everything was designed and planned out. This grand design reminds me of the Titan Aman'Thul. The jailer wanted to break this pattern and reset the universe, but because of the fear inside of him, he realized or sensed that something terrible was about to happen, and he said exactly that in his final words.
A cosmos divided will not survive. What is to come?
It's still not clear what is coming for us, but I'm sure with Chris Metzen's return, Blizzard wants to make good retcon and fix the story bugs. Other people also talk about what is to come, like the god of the deep, the old god N'Zoth, who says this in the middle of his fight.
I alone can save you from what is to come. Only I can save this world.
You've probably seen my N'Zoth video. N'Zoth also knew something was going to happen and made his plan to survive in the Blade of the Black Empire, which he has now escaped from. Or look at this one, the infinite version of the Keeper Tyr, who says this.
You cannot change what is.
And Murozond, the dark future of the aspect of time, Nostromo, when you are in the end time dungeon, where you know the old gods won, N'Zoth won, the Horde and the Alliance were defeated, even Deathwing is dead, and the world is destroyed. Murozond says,
I once called this place. I had not seen by then. I did not know. You hope to what? Stop me here? Change the fate I worked so tirelessly to weave? You crawl unwitting like a blind, writhing worm towards endless madness and despair. I have witnessed the true end time. This is a blessing you simply cannot comprehend.
You see, he saw the real end, a darkness that cannot even be compared to Azeroth's destruction by Deathwing and the Old God. Compared to that true end, this destroyed timeline is a blessing. So what would be that true end? And a big blessing for me would be if you subscribe to my channel to give me energy. I appreciate it. Doomsayers in the Legion pre-patch expansion talk about the coming of the creature, a Crooked Serpent, that feasts on the stars, has an eternal hunger, and can destroy the world. We know there are 5 old gods, and nobody knows where the last one is. Now, this is where it gets interesting. In the Chronicle book, we have an image of an old god. We identified all of them except one. Look at it. Whose body at the bottom of the drawing is merged with leaves and skeletons. Leaves means life and the skeletons means death. Does this old god have something to do with cycle of life and death? Or does it feed on it like animal power? And what I discovered is that the picture of this old god looks like a Hearthstone character named the Ancient One, which coincidentally looks a lot like a Crooked Serpent. My last point about this creature is from the Time Rift event in Dragonflight. We travel to a parallel universe, like an Azeroth where the Lich King won, or an Azeroth where everyone is a Murloc. But in one universe, the old gods won and the titans never came. There, we found a tablet saying a creature named the Ancient One is present. It has so much hunger that the native people sacrifice themselves just to feed it. Hunger is an interesting concept. It was also inside the Dark Heart, a part of the essence of the ancient dragon Galakrond, who was killed by the dragon aspects thousands of years ago. During our time travel in Dragonflight, Galakrond put it into Dark Heart. This blood of Galakrond contains massive hunger. Did Galakrond drink the blood of the Ancient One? Or maybe the Ancient One lost to the other old gods and is hiding somewhere, but its blood remains, right? Just like how old god blood is spread all over Khazalgar. You remember the war within, right? Of course, all of this nothing compared to Everliving Statuette. You have probably seen it in the Dark Portal structure since 2004. Who is this? In patch 9.1 in Corsia, you get a quest item called the Everliving Statuette that you deliver it to Fate Scribe Rossier. While it's in your bag, the statue talks to you. One of its lines is, the 7 scovets watch the 6 hold fast, the fulcrum wavers, all will be undone. Could this be 7's power? The word soul of Azeroth, the things all cosmic forces want? Rossier says we shouldn't listen to this statue, that it's older than the history of the world. So we have a character in the shadows who knows everything and maybe designed it all. Is that character Aman'Thul? Recently, with the events of the War Within and Dragonflight before it, you realize the Titans are hiding something. Razagas point out that the Titans imprisoned this world.
You think the Titans brought order to this world? No! They shackled it! What they could not control, they imprisoned.
Phase change.
Just like the aspects did to us!
Even Sylvanas pointed out.
This world is a prison.
In War Within, we saw that the Titans put Azeroth into a machine called the Manifold. Recently in Midnight, in the land of Harandar, we realized they stole the Haranir goddess named Alunhara from her cradle, which is obviously is Azeroth. We also saw that Azeroth changed the Earthen, and the Earthen started to rebel against the Titan. They were destroying the Manifold machine, which is why the Keepers defeated them and wiped their memories. Titans, according to Odyn, the Prime Designate, considered themselves the creators of the world. Odyn mentioned that the mortal shouldn't know anything about the first one. Odyn says, you must tell them the time of the Black Empire was only pain and suffering and was so bad. And when he says this in secret to other keepers, does it mean the opposite side was true? We know in the legend of Elune here, the Aman'Thul destroyed the great word tree that Elune gifted to Aenor because the force of life cannot be controlled. Odyn also mentioned that life is chaos. So if they couldn't control life, they only turned a part of the life realm into Emerald Dream. And you know, this wall. You saw this in Nemo's fight in Imprisoning, a jade wall you can't cross from the Emerald Dream. Only one person managed to do it. In the Nature of Dreams book, it explained there are other realms of life, and life existed in different forms there, and someone managed to cross that wall. Life and death are two sides of the same coin. If the Titans couldn't control life and see it as their enemy, maybe they managed to completely control death. Maybe Aman'Thul and the Titans created the cycle of life and death, or maybe they are the first ones, the Shadowlands denizens and the eternal ones called the Makers, but have never seen them before. The structures of Zereth Mortis, where they built the Shadowland, looks very much like the Titan structures. There is a lot of order in the symmetry of them. Even when the jailer dies, he turns into a stone robot, which reminds me of the Earthen and Watchers. And my final point, which I discovered myself, Aman'Thul was the first Titan to wake up, right? And he is called the High Father. He traveled and woke up the other Titans by going to their planets and their souls. Now look at how the Titans imprison Azeroth and want to turn the Word Soul of Azeroth into a Titan. Because Azeroth is a prime Word Soul, but Azeroth doesn't want to change. We are seeing the process of her transformation right now. And you know, she is awaking. She tried to communicate with us at the start of the war within, and she gave dragons power at the end of Dragonflight, and she is awaking. Somehow the manifold power, the prison, somehow it interrupts. I guess it's because of the Sargeras sword hit to Azeroth, but you know, she is awaking. Maybe Aman'Thul isn't a Titan at all, and maybe this exact process happening to Azeroth is what he did to the other planets and successfully waking them up as a Titan. Understand what I mean? I mean, he forcibly turned planets, Word Soul planets, to Titans, and they not even know about it. Anyway, aside from the Word Soul saga, I believe there is a major ending or a very dark force that Blizzard hasn't talked about yet. What do you think? Subscribe to my channel so I can make more videos for you. If you like it, please press the like button. Thank you for watching and peace out.